call the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing for the invocation by the Deacon Peter Schumann. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Thank you. Excuse my back, council members. We live in a community that starts its community, our council meetings out in a rare state, and that is by evoking God's blessing. You don't know how rare that is in government today. We have always done it. It's been done here for years, and we continue the privilege of being able to talk about God Almighty in our community. Let us bow our heads in prayer. Father God, creator of all, you know our hearts, you know our minds, you know our intentions, you know our shortfalls. Lord, we ask your blessing on our lives, regardless of who we are, where we are, what political persuasion we are. And we are grateful, Lord, that you bless our community with men and women who serve in government, in police, in fire, and rescue. And the ability, Lord, to join the armed services and serve our country, both here and abroad. We are grateful for your continued blessing on our community. May you remind us that what we did today is not good enough for what we must do tomorrow. And we know that we cannot do it on our own. Continue to bless us and strive for excellence, strive for unity, and strive for the betterment of a community where we can live and raise our families in pride, in safety, and in a place where we can develop a home. We ask all this in your precious name, and all the people say, Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Deacon. This regular meeting of the Township Council is being held in accordance with the scheduled meetings of the Township Council established and adopted by the Township Council with scheduled designated time, date, and place of this meeting. Adequate public notice of this meeting has been pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Where you use an electronic amplifier and recording device in order to obtain audible and clear record, we request all those wishing to speak be recognized to state your name and address directly into the microphone. Recording device to be solely utilized by the Township Clerk's Office shall be the official record of Township Council meetings. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Present.
Mr. Schmidt?
Present.
Mr. Seiler?
Here.
Mrs. Gentek? Mrs. Strato? Here. Mr. Mercado?
Present.
Mr. Bianchini?
Present.
Mayor? Mr. Moffa?
Present.
Mr. Lechner?
Here.
Deputy Chief Harkins?
Here.
Mr. Carlemere?
Here.
Mr. Cardis?
Here.
Council needs to go into a closed session, and we're going to do it at the beginning of the meeting. The closed session has to deal with workers' compensation, situations that are needing final determinations. It would be approximately maximum 10-15 minutes.
10 minutes. No, right now time is 7:35. We need a resolution with a roll call.
I have a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Would be so order, please. I have a roll call.
Mr. Hutchison?
Present.
Mr. Schmidt?
Present.
Mr. Seiler?
Here.
Mrs. Gentek? Here. Mrs. Strato? Here. Mr. Mercado?
Present.
Mr. Bianchini?
Present. And the mayor is now attending as well. I need need a motion to this?
We need to comment.
Oh, yes. We was in closed session. We had 2 workers' compensation cases involving the police department. Council approved the authorization of our legal counsel to continue negotiating a settlement, and at this time, nothing permanent has been settled as of this moment. Dave, anything else to add?
No, that pretty much said it all. We went into closed session first because there was the attorney here that had another matter this evening to attend to, so rather than inconvenience, we took the closed session first.
Thank you, Dave. We now have a presentation. Mayor?
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished veterans. Welcome to Gloucester Township if you are from our neighboring towns, and certainly welcome to all of our citizens here and special guests that filmed us from the county. I asked Mayor Caldeas to run me to join me, and I don't believe Councilman from Belmar, Councilman Duncan is here. Is he here? But asked Mayor Caldeas to join us. Ladies and gentlemen, on June 23rd, the communities of Runnymede, Belmar, and Gloucester Township joined together to pay tribute to our veterans who have served our country with honor and distinction, and to also say thank you to those men and women. That morning, after the parade and at the barbecue, I said to folks that this wasn't just a parade. It was really a highway of heroes that we saw that morning. Individuals who unselfishly serve our country because of the patriotism that they have and the love that they have for our country. Tonight, we are gathering here today to say thank you to the men and women who in 73 days put this parade together. Many people volunteered their time and their energies to pull and to organize and pull this parade together. So we wanted to bring everyone together to say thank you so very much for what you did in organizing this event. So with that, we're going to bring folks up. Council President Keeney will read the citations and then bring you up. We ask that you please join us up here. And also, in addition, we will be making check presentations this evening to veterans organizations that certainly deserve to be recognized and supported. This recognition of our veterans back on June 23rd not only brought together the communities of 3 different communities, but also raised money for these organizations. And so not only do we thank you for your efforts in organizing the parade and the barbecue, but also thank you for helping to generate funds for very worthwhile organizations. So with that, Council President, you can give the proclamation.
Yeah, as the mayor spoke, it's for invaluable assistance in making the Gloucester Township Belmar Runnymede first annual Welcome Home Veterans Parade a tremendous success. Gloucester Township Councilman Sam Seiler. Runnymede Councilman Dick Capanos. Runnymede Councilman Ed White. Gloucester Township Public Works. Lynn Marshall. Lieutenant Brian McHenry, Gloucester Township Police Department. Austin Aarons. Bodie? Chapman Thomas Bucciaroni. Kevin Bucciaroni. Kevin Bucciaroni Jr. Justin Colon. James Coyle. Lauren Coyle. Marianne Coyle. Bob Del Sordo.
Yeah, pay my tax.
Absolutely. Terribly.
Reverend Dr. K. Frisch. Matthew Frisch. Jim Gallagher. Franchan Gansium. I apologize if I butchered your name.
That was correct.
Linda Gilch. Michael Hackett. Kathleen Gonzaga. Joe Lee. Terry Marama. Kelly Matthews. Bob McCord. William Bowen. Jason Moore. Suzanne Moore. Bill Murray. Michael Narducci. Jack Newcomb. added. Laura Power. Michael Reagan. Natalie Rios.
Thank you.
James Romano. William Sampolsky. Carmen Scarnuzio. Brian Sharp. Dexter Smith. Ronald Welch. Philip Williams. Speed walking.
Thank you also very much for your help.
Patricia Wilson.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, it takes many people with a lot of different talents to pull off what you did on June the 23rd. So on behalf of the citizens of Gloucester Township, Runnymede, and Belmar, we thank all of you for your time and your dedication. I also want to acknowledge the Director of the Camden County Office of Veterans Affairs, Reverend White, who is joining us. A good friend of mine who I had the opportunity to work alongside of, learn a lot of great lessons from, Lieutenant Colonel Al Bancroft. I would ask at this time if Kevin Bucciaroni, Suzanne, where did you come up, join me here, and Marianne Coyle, if you could join me here as well. And at this time, we would like to make the check presentation, so Kevin, I'll hand it over to you to make those presentations.
Thank you very much. As you can see, what started out as two people blossomed it morphed into something that we couldn't even really expect. We started out wondering how we were going to raise money to have 2 hamburgers and a couple of hot dogs. And this time, Commander Couture, Ms. Jennings, come on up. For all of our efforts, the efforts of the community and the committee, I'd like to present both of you checks for $3,586. Thank you very much. We're going to make this an annual event. We're planning on September 13th for our next one. Hopefully we can raise as much money, if not more. Thank you.
call the meeting back to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Present.
Mr. Schmidt?
Present.
Mr. Styler?
Present.
Mrs. Gentek? Here. Mrs. Trotta? Here. Mr. Mercado?
Present.
Mr. Bean King?
Present. Proclamation ovarian cancer.
Whereas ovarian cancer is called the silent killer because its symptoms are often vague or subtle, and whereas ovarian cancer is the fifth leading cause of cancer death among women and the leading cause of gynecologic cancer deaths in the United States, and whereas each year more than 22,000 Americans are diagnosed with the disease and approximately 16,000 die from it, and whereas if detected in its early stages, survival from ovarian cancer is 90 to 95%, yet the 5-year survival rate for this disease is only 28% because it is so difficult to detect early. And whereas the Sandy Roman Ovarian Cancer Foundation Incorporated is a local nonprofit organization started in memory of Sandy Roman, who passed away from advanced ovarian cancer at the age of 33 by her nurse Robin Cohen and her sister Adriana Way, raises awareness of ovarian cancer, advocates for early diagnostic testing and more effective treatments, raises funds to advance ovarian cancer research, and wishes to remind the public that September is Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. And now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Township of Gloucester declare their support for the Sandy Roman Ovarian Cancer Foundation's Get Real with Teal campaign and proclaim September as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month.
Thank you. Bids.
Township of Gloucester and Blackhorse Pike Regional School District Energy Saving Improvement Program.
Motion to accept the bids.
So moved. Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Styler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gentek? Yes. Mrs. Trotta? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bean King?
Yes. We now have the public portion in which to speak on any agenda items only. Please come to the microphone. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
First.
Hi, my name is Brenda Young, 101 Kendrick Avenue. Post office is Sicklerville, here in the township. I last spoke before this body December of 2000 or 2001 when the council was voting to pursue Green Acre status for the German camp, which is Lake Mazzillo. At the time, there was residents who were concerned about the traffic on our single-lane dirt roads, and then Dave Benedetti, the planning director of the township, acknowledged that the residents owned the road, and as such, should there be public access to the Green Acres property, the township would build a road from, at the time, he said, the high school back to the camp. Property was never supposed to be, well, we were promised it was going to be public, and then the creek began. Mayor Love wanted to have the scouts come in, which was a great idea. They were only going to come in for formal activities. We were told to notify the police if there was anybody back there. And then recently, there's more and more creek that people are allowed access. When we contacted the police, we were told, yes, it is now public. And that is a concern to us because of the promise that was made to us when we agreed to, not complain about the Green Acre status and having that public property all over our dirt road. So we try to engage different mayors and different administrations. We've had no success. There should be minutes from back then. I had lengthy discussions with Mayor Ralph Hatton's assistant 2 years ago, and there's just kind of a whisper down the lane mentality for this property, and we'd like to officially request some formal knowledge from this township. And the property is to be open to the public. What insurance is there that the drug dealers aren't going to be back there like they used to? That the property's taken care of, that the lake is not defiled, and some of those concerns. So with no success dealing with mayoral administrations, we decided to come before you and ask your help to, tell us what the story is.
We'll do is I think we need to understand what took place
Certainly.
back in 2000. So I'm going to ask Mr. Lechner to go back into the files. Mr. Lechner, you took over from Mr. Benedetti, and then come to our next workshop, if you can, with information for us. I also asked the engineer if he could take a look to see if there's additional areas that can be entrances other than next to the residence there. I don't remember what Mayor Love, maybe with the information that Mr. Lechner will get us, we can see what Mayor Love has promised or indicated we would do. And then come to our workshop, and then we'll discuss it as council on what we can do to help the residents. If you want, you can give your number to our clerk. She can inform you. But if for some reason it doesn't get on the agenda because they need more time to get information, I don't want you all to come and expect something. So
I'll give her a call, give you my name and number tomorrow.
yeah, if you could do that, and then that way, if you don't mind, she can use you as the conduit back to
That would be
the
fine.
residents.
I appreciate your consideration. It's just been really frustrating. Thanks for your help.
Yeah, and we'll hopefully get to the bottom
All
and
right.
help this out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we do.
Right, is everybody like that? I'm Elizabeth Wilson, Rutgers Drive. I'm the new executive director of South Jersey Citizens. I'm asking as part of the regular agenda that you members compel the clerk to certify the South Jersey Citizens petition. You are the only ones now that have that ability, and that way you can get onto the ballot. It was a technicality. It wasn't that the signatures were bad. It was a technicality that made it so that some of our petitions were thrown out and that we didn't have the numbers. So everybody understands there's no statewide standard for what the clerk can do or not do with respect to allowing petitions to be remedied and how that remedy is. And Roe did what she thought was the right thing. So I'm not saying that she didn't do the right thing. What I'm saying is there's no statewide standard to follow. Hoboken, 2 weeks ago, went and they allowed those petitioners to come back in, with the committee of petitioners to come back in and staple it themselves, the remedy once. So they came in, they stapled it themselves. Whereas here, ours didn't come in the way Roe wanted them, and ours went out. So it's a technicality. It's not like you have, a whole bunch of signatures that weren't valid and the numbers were that way. It's a technicality. And yes, we went back and forth, but I think you need to give the people their voice. And that's what we're asking. Give the people their voice. You don't have to vote yes for it. You vote your conscience. But give the people their voice and allow it to at least get certified tonight. Its second reading would then be in 2 weeks on the 27th. And then if you choose to say no, that's fine. It goes to the ballot and the people have the ability. And that's what we need to have happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Don Joyce, 10 Felicia Court era. I was on the internet the other day and I happened to see an article in the Courier Post. I don't know if anybody read it. It was under the op-ed column. It was called Cheers to Olympians, Cheers for Sideshow. And this is kind of a follow-up to what Beth just talked about. This is listed under jeers. So the debate in Gloucester Township over substantive play-to-pay reform devolving into a court battle over the technicalities of how pages in a petition and affidavits were notarized. The latest development comes from a state appeals court which upheld a lower court ruling against a group of residents who collected signatures in hopes of getting a pay-to-play ordinance on the ballot in November for a binding referendum. The ruling dealt with the validity of signatures on the petition and notary stamps. All of this is so far afield of what should be the issue. Putting in place a meaningful reform ordinance that's not loophole ridden, like the one recently tabled by the Township Council, and that will actually erect real barriers to professional firms making large campaign contributions and then turning around and getting lucrative township contracts from the same elected officials they donated to. Such pay-to-play is a recipe for potential waste and cronyism in every community in our state, including Gloucester Township. This is why every New Jersey municipality should have in place a strong pay-to-play ban promoted by the nonpartisan open government advocacy group, the Citizens Campaign. It's the ordinance the petitioners in Gloucester Township we're aiming to have passed that dozens of Garden State towns have already passed. If Gloucester Township leaders do right and adopt this ordinance, there will be no need for court fights or a public referendum.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Linda Master, 50 Cameron Circle. I would just like to ask that the pay-to-play ordinance, as proposed by South Jersey citizens, does move forward. I was one of the people who signed that petition, and I feel that by not moving that forward, my voice is being taken away. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Oh. Seeing no other hands, we close the first public portion. Ordinance, first reading. Ordinance O-12-18. An ordinance amending Chapter 81 of the Code Book of the Township of Gloucester entitled Vehicles and Traffic, prohibiting stopping or standing on both sides of West Church Street. As the title states, this ordinance will establish a no stop or standing on both sides of West Church Street. Motion to adopt.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Genta?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Ordinance O-12-19. An ordinance amending Chapter 81 of the Code Book of the Township of Gloucester entitled Vehicles and Traffic to prohibit parking on the east side of West Railroad Avenue. Again, as the title states, this ordinance will allow the prohibit parking on the east side of West Railroad Avenue. That's going to be from Marshall Avenue to the first marked parking space. This was an improvement done, I believe, down at the Blackwood Kiwanis baseball complex to increase more parking, as well as to help the residents in that area so that they're not being blocked in. Motion to approve.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Genta?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Ordinance O-12-20. Ordinance amending Chapter 81 of the Code Book of the Township of Gloucester entitled Vehicles and Traffic, establishing Sawwood Drive and Deadlift Drive as through streets. Again, this ordinance will establish Sawwood Drive east as a through street the entire length, and Deadlift Drive as a through street from Earl and New Brooklyn Road to Saw Drive and its eastern terminus from Sawwood Drive. Motion to adopt.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Genta?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Resolution O-12-21. Ordinance amending Chapter 81 of the Code Book of the Township of Gloucester entitled Vehicles and Traffic, establishing various intersections as stop intersections. This ordinance will allow the Gloucester Township to establish various intersections as stop intersections from Sawwood Drive and Debbie Lynn Drive. Motion to adopt.
Second.
On the question, Roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gantek?
Yes.
Mrs. Trotta?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Now have resolutions of consent agenda. Any council person wishing to remove any of these from the consent agenda, please let me know now.
Mr. President, I make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented. I'll second that motion.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gantek?
Yes.
Mrs. Trotta?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
186, resolution appointing members to the Gloucester Township Historical and Scenic Preservation Committee.
This resolution appoints Stephanie Roberts to fill the unexpired term of Vicki Robbins and Deborah Anderson to fill the unexpired term of Elizabeth Beadle on the Historical and Scenic Preservation Committee. Motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gantek?
Yes.
Mrs. Trotta?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
187, resolution authorizing the advertising of bids for Athens Avenue sidewalk.
This resolution is to authorize the advertising of bids for Athens Avenue sidewalk. Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, roll call.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gantek?
Yes.
Mrs. Trotta?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
188, resolution authorizing the advertising of bids for bicentennial court basin improvements and Carroll Avenue Stream Bank stabilization.
As this resolution states, it authorizes the advertising of bids for bicentennial court basin and Carroll Avenue Stream Bank stabilization improvements. Motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gantek?
Yes.
Mrs. Trotta?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. The mayor is not here. He is in a meeting with Senator Menendez at this time. Oh, we have a vote?
Yeah, we have a resolution 12:08-189. That resolution has a direct relationship to the bids that you received this evening. We had a meeting this afternoon. I think the urgency of time requires council to move for the rejection of the bids that were received and authorize re-advertising for new bids. Yeah. And so while it's been done in a combination of resolutions to reject and authorize bids for projects, but the council should, at this time, have the governing body have some flexibility with authorizing the bid projects to be divided. Because what had happened is the bids came in, the three bids from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Price. One, the low bidder missed his understanding of the specifications and did not bid on a particular project, dealing with electrical work or what have you. So he immediately, right following the bid process, withdrew, and understandably so, and he was rightfully in doing that, and his withdrawal was accepted. The other two bids were over the projected budget. So there's a need to go out to reject them rather than wait till the next council meeting. And there's also a need to authorize to go back out for bids with the instruction perhaps that you bid them in two projects rather than just one project. And that would be up to the engineer to put those.
We'll review the bids that came in to see what the issues are. As you know, this is a joint project with the Concord Engineering. And make a decision at that time if it's in the township interest to have two separate bids or not.
Mr. Carlin, this is for the energy savings improvement.
That's for the energy savings improvements, and it deals with the schools, as everyone here knows, the regional school districts. Now, I asked the clerk to give me a form of the resolution, and I have the resolution to reject combined with the authority to re-advertise. You could do it in one. So it's a resolution to reject 189 with also combined authority to go back out to re-advertise. But I would say part of that would be to allow some flexibility to go in and bid it out on two projects.
So we're going to reject it and then authorize the going out of specifications again for bid, but you may need to do two bids.
Or we can build it into one bid for bid package.
Right, but clearly separating A and B. And that was some of the confusion in the last process.
We need the language to reflect that.
So is there any questions from council regarding that?
straightforward.
So then, this will be Resolution 189?
189, correct.
So I have a motion to approve Resolution 189.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
On the question. Roll call?
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gente?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Beanky?
Yes. As I stated earlier, the mayor is not here to give a report. I have no GTE Gov access questions, and I will open up to the public portion. Anybody who wishes to speak on any subject, please raise your hand and come to the microphone. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Council. My name is Joe Reed. I'm the Old House section of Gloucester Township. I'd like to join in with others to discuss pay to play. I'm one of the signers of the original petition. I kind of feel as a voter disenfranchised that I don't have the ability to say yea or nay against pay to play or influence petting in our town. And council has the ability to have that placed on a ballot, and I ask that you do something.
Yeah, I mean, I can comment on that. Clearly, the statute does not give the governing body authority to dictate to the clerk that process or certification of the petitions that came in. The appeal process that we went through, both on the lower level as well as the appellate level, addressed that. At the lower level, the court was very clear that the South Jersey citizens, or the Committee of Petitioners, were seeking a mandamus to require the clerk, under an order of mandamus, to certify the petitions. The lower court judge said clearly the case law gives the clerk discretion how she evaluates and what her decision is, as long as she is not arbitrary or abusive in her power. The lower court determined the clerk was not abusive in her power. Contrary to the decision of the lower court, the Committee of Petitioners, as part of their appeal, appealed to the appellate level, requesting that there would be an order that the clerk violated their civil rights, and also an appeal requiring that the process of the affidavit signing should be certified by the clerk. The appellate division, and we argued this last Friday, the appellate division made it very clear that the responsibility falls on the Committee of Petitioners. And they cited that in their decision. They said that the responsibility for circulating and filing that petition falls on the Committee of Petitioners. They said also that the Committee of Petitioners are responsible to the voters that signed. They are accountable to the voters that signed. They have the responsibility to follow the dictates of the statute, and they said they failed to do that. The appellate division also said and pointed out that the clerk was proper in her procedures, that the clerk was not abusive in her power, that the clerk extended herself and gave the Committee of Petitioners a method to follow to correct the improper affidavits. You might be aware, if you were involved, that the first signing of the affidavits were by a Pennsylvania notary, someone that's not authorized to administer oaths in the state of New Jersey. The clerk gave the Committee of Petitioners a method of correcting that, to bring in their notary and correct that deficiency. The appellate division said they chose not to follow the direction given by the clerk at their own peril. They did it wrong. The appellate division said you cannot shift the responsibility and the purpose of the acknowledgement and affidavit signed by a notary to the clerk. That's the Committee of Petitioners' responsibility. They failed. So if a petition signer has a gripe, they have a gripe with the Committee of Petitioners.
So Dave, how many judges were on that last Court of Appeals?
It was a 3-judge panel.
And it was a 3-0 decision?
That's correct. It was a unanimous decision. They gave a 25-page opinion.
I guess I didn't make myself clear. I'm standing here as a voter. You know, I suppose you probably all know that I was involved with that, proudly so. We lost. We lost. I stand here hat in hand saying you people have the ability to put that on the ballot for the rest of this town to say South Jersey can rotate to IR or yes. That's all I ask. I think anything within reason should be placed on a ballot.
Well,
And that's what I'm saying, Dave. I'm here hat in hand saying, please, I lost, I wish I hadn't, I lost. The people I'm involved with lost, we wish we hadn't, but we lost. That's a matter of fact. I'm standing here as Joe Reed, resident for 36 years, saying, please, just put it on out. Let the township, to use a Democratic Party stand that you use all the time, let the voters say yea or nay, up or down. That's all. That's all the little ways is great, Dave. Most of us sitting in this room, okay, whatever. I'm asking you, hat in hand, please put it on the ballot. Thank you.
But clearly, there's no authority in the state of New Jersey for the governing body to put anything before the voters on the ballot unless it's a non-binding referendum. The only process that any governing body has in the state of New Jersey, and it's only under the Faulkner Act, to initiate an ordinance is through petition. The governing body cannot put a binding question on the ballot, and they cannot circumvent the clerk who did her job.
I don't remember saying put a binding question on. I'm saying put it on there. Let the voters say yes or no. That's
Are you saying non-binding?
Non-binding. Put it on there and see what happens. You have nothing to lose. The township has everything to gain. Thank you.
Mr. Faulkner, would it be an abuse of our authority to place a binding resolution, a binding question on the ballot?
You do not have the authority to do that under the law in the state of New Jersey.
So, that being the question, if the committee of petitioners who circulated that petition want it on the ballot, they can collect enough signatures and put it back on, or bring it right back in front of us.
That's the only method in New Jersey for an initiated ordinance to be placed on the ballot. It's through petition.
Anyone else? Right?
Evening, Council, Ray Butler area. The court battle aside, you can't put anything as a non-binding referendum on the ballot. You can pass a resolution. The only resolution that's made its way to this council chambers is one that involves super PACs. And let's be serious, how big a problem do we have with super PACs here in Gloucester Township? Mr. Hutchinson was the author of that deal. You presented that.
Well,
Super PACs?
I think the whole purpose of the super PACs is they could become a major issue. And again, it would have less transparency than what's currently in place.
Well, we're going to look into the future.
Let me interrupt you for a second. You got to understand that when Mr. Hutchinson talked about super PACs, one of the things that we discussed is that we can't control the super PAC, but we can mandate disclosure, transparency, and we can require the vendor to make a disclosure for transparency. We can't control a super PAC. No one can control the super PAC under federal legislation.
Well, let's be honest. Part of what pay-to-play is in local municipalities is the contractors that do business in the township making sizable donations. We already have that. And because it's transparent doesn't make it right. Curbing that, or bringing that down to its old order is what the people would like to see. This council is looking into the future of super PACs being a problem. Are you also looking into the future of if red light cameras go away, is this township ready to try and put a budget together without that newfound revenue? I mean, it's a positive program, and right now there's a petition driving around to remove those red light cameras throughout the state. Are you looking into the future? What will we do when those red light cameras disappear?
Sure we will.
You're looking at a resolution for pay-to-play in the future, and that other just goes by the wayside. There's no passion. I mean, there's just no seriousness about this. If you were serious, you bring walk-on resolutions all the time for something that you need, something that you want, but something that people want doesn't seem to make it. Because let's be honest, most people don't know what pay-to-play is. If you describe it to them, they'll know. If you describe super PACs, they see super PACs as something that is a national issue and a statewide issue, and not as much a local municipal issue. Is there anyone on this council who would like to maybe do a little something with what we already have? Because looking into the future with super PACs, it's just not going to work. I mean, there is no problem. It's not existent. And putting that forth as a resolution is looking at something that's not a problem. What is a problem is the contractors in this township and the sizable donations that they make. And I haven't seen nor heard or discussion regarding what is existent as the pay-to-play issue. Is there anyone here on council, besides staring at me and shaking your head, that has a feeling or an opinion on it?
Not at this time.
I kind of figured you would. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Barry?
Good evening, everyone. How are you tonight?
Good evening, Josh.
So, I'm not here to talk about pay to play. As far as I'm concerned, it's not going to get on the ballot this year. We figured you guys weren't going to do it. Mr. Carlemere and I disagree on some points of law. I'm not going to get into that tonight, but look, it's dead for 2012. Maybe it'll be back in 13 or 14. Who knows? I'm going to talk about something else tonight. Ray's comments were a good segue into that. This is red light cameras. I have been staying away from this issue because I didn't think it was worth it, or some of the arguments just were he said, she said, back and forth. But 2 weeks ago, I was on travel into LA, where 3 hours behind, I forgot to turn the ringer off on my phone, and at 5 a.m. local time, my phone started exploding. Apparently, Assemblyman O'Scanlan had hired a Virginia-based firm, National Motor Association Foundation, to conduct various measurements of the red light cameras in many towns throughout our state. And what they had published, and I talked to his office today and confirmed this information, is that 2 of the 10 traffic lights in Gloucester Township are in violation of the state ordinance. The one at Blackwood Cummington at Ariel Road is a half second too short, and the amber light at Little Gloucester Road, this is when you are heading towards the McDonald's, away from St. Agnes Church. Depending on how you read the statute or whose engineering report you follow, is anywhere from half a second to over a second too short. So before I go into any of my analysis, has either our engineering firm or anyone in the town looked into this at all?
If I can answer, we established the amber time when the program first started by doing a speed study. The police department conducted a speed study. And as you know, if you've been following it, the amber time has to be based on the 85 percentile speed that's measured there. Once that was established, we got approval of that. The amber times are checked every 6 months, and our last check was in June to certify that they're meeting the standards that were established. And our check in June showed that they met the timing that was required.
Well, I will go.
I believe 5 seconds.
I will go into that in a minute, but has anything been done since the report from Mr. Scanlon's office been made public? Has any action been taken? Any investigation? Any secondary testing? Anything?
No, we haven't seen Mr. Scanlon's report. I don't think it'd be appropriate for the council to do anything without the report being submitted to the Township Council.
Well, when I spoke to them today, what he indicated was they've got the preliminary, the final will be coming out in a few days. He will send it to me. If you don't have it already, I will forward it on.
I think it should be forwarded to the Township.
So as soon as I get it, I will forward it on.
Why wouldn't he send it directly to the clerk?
I have no idea. Maybe he is. I don't know. I'm just offering. If I get it, I will make sure, Mr. Campbell, that you have a copy.
John, I'm asking the question. Has he forwarded that report to DOT?
They have.
Has he forwarded the report to the Department of Transportation?
I believe so. But again,
has that been forwarded to the township?
Mr.
There
Mercado,
2 violations.
I have no idea what he has given to you. I just know what I read in multiple media outlets, and then I called his office today. And then after I spoke with his office, I ran my own analysis of the engineering report. I actually operated a lot of ultrasonic red light cameras about a month or two ago. And just so you guys understand, sometimes when I oper from Row, it's not to attack you, it's to tell people on my side, hey guys, this is not a problem. You'll be surprised at the number of times I've told them that I've looked at the information and have said, hey, chill out, they've done nothing wrong. But when I looked at the Burlington and Vernon report today, a couple of striking things stood out from this report. And it was dated June 21st, as you had indicated. The first was that at these two intersections, the Burlington and Vernon engineer had measured a speed of 29 miles per hour on Ariel Road when there was a posted speed limit of 45. And that's at 30 miles an hour when school's in session. But given that it was June 21st, school's not in session.
Wait. We were measuring,
The 85% top
we
speed.
weren't measuring speed when we were out there June of this year. We were just measuring the amper time.
So then how did you get that 25% or the 85%?
That was based, as I said at the beginning of my comments, that was based on the speed study that was done when the program first started. The law does not require the township to do continual speed studies every 6 months. They established it at the beginning, and unless there's been a material change out there, there's no reason to do additional speed studies. I'm not aware of any material change.
First we'll talk about the speed. Because on Little Gloucester Road, she had, the 85% top speed was 31 miles an hour. The posted speed limit is 50. That's a 19 mile an hour difference. I drove that road today at 5 p.m. I was doing 50 approaching the traffic light. With the Ariel Road, that 29 number might make sense if it was measured while school was in session and people were slowing down.
Those numbers. What report are you looking at?
Yours. You signed it.
But what date?
June 21st, this year.
That's a 29 mile an hour. May I don't.
Yes.
Okay.
I have it here if you want. I'll show it to you afterwards. I mean, and this came from Roe, and I'm assuming Roe gave me the correct document. But the speed limit, or the traffic speed that you have of 29 and 31 is significantly less than posted speed limit. Again, I drove it today this afternoon, and I validated what the posted speed limits were. I was able to do 45 all the way to the end of Ariel. So what's happening in this case is the speeds were too low. But then when I looked at the amber light measurement is where I found, in my opinion, are some serious concerns. The first is what the engineer did is she took 3 separate measurements of the amber light. She then took an average and said, that's the amber light time. Me being an engineer, I looked at these numbers and a couple of things jumped out at me as being a problem. First is, let's look at the Ariel Road intersection that's in question here. She took 3 numbers, 4.25 seconds, 3.84, and 3.91. The difference between the highest and the lowest was 0.4 seconds, nearly half a second difference in 3 consecutive measurements. That's a problem.
That's why you take 3, to average out any variations you may have in
Okay, from an engineering point of view, if you're using electronic equipment to measure electronic equipment, and just so you understand, a traffic light is basically light bulbs and timers, right? Think of if you were timing your watch and how long does it take to go around, those numbers, if you're using a computer to measure it, should be very precise, right? You shouldn't have much of a variance. In fact, at Blackwood, Clemington, and Westwards, and Millbridge, she had 494, 494, 497, which is very precise. But in most of these measurements, there's a wide variance. Not only 0.4 seconds, 0.25, 0.41, 0.21, 0.29, 0.3, I mean, you can see what these numbers are.
Josh, can you summarize your
The point I'm trying to make here is that these measurements are imprecise. Either the test method is incorrect or not precise, or our amber lights themselves are defective. If we are telling people you are using, it's a 4-second light, but she measured, in this case, 2 of them are below 4 seconds. If you're that motorist, you not just got a red light because our amber light was below what we're saying it is. That's a problem.
Mr. John, is there a standard that they're using when they're measuring these these lights,
So
aren't
there's not an established standard for it, but the normal practice is frankly to go out with a stopwatch, take a series of measurements and average them. That's the standard that have been used for years for measuring these things. I mean, you can get more sophisticated if you want to go through the expense of providing more elaborate equipment, but it's really unnecessary.
Well, speaking as an engineer myself, a stopwatch, I'm sorry, that is not an accurate method. And when we're talking about the red light cameras that are very controversial, that are costing people $80 a clip, you have an engineer that's literally going to start, stop. That is an inaccurate method of measuring these lights.
We disagree on that, then.
And that's fine, and you absolutely have
Mr.
that
Cameron,
right.
when's the next set of
It won't be due
certification?
December.
December?
December.
But where I'm going with this is, Mr. O'Scanlan, he's got bicameral, bipartisan support now. There's a bill in both the Assembly and the Senate to kill the red light program. Part of it is because of what happened here. And if that one does not pass, he's got a backup bill that will add a 1 second to the minimum amber time. One of the things that every traffic study tells you, all of them, is that adding a second to the amber time has got the same effect as the red light cameras, and is in fact safer, because people need that extra time to know, hey, don't go through. Now, someone who's going through at 70 miles an hour, it doesn't matter what the amber light time is, so let's not go there. What we're talking about is for red light cameras.
Well, Josh, whatever the state dictates, obviously, Gloucester Township will follow. So if that bill goes through, obviously, we will follow it. Up until now, the Department of Transportation stated that we were all in compliance with how we tested it. With Mr. Scanlon sends out his report, obviously, we will take a look at it. The engineer will look at it. If it's anything that he should re-certify, then he'll go that way. But until that changes take place at this point, we're following the law of the state.
Well, that's fair enough. But the problem here is, one, these speeds of 29 and 31 being so dramatically below the posted speed limit. Somebody should have looked at that and said, that's a problem. We're, our measurement said we're almost 20 miles below the limit. Now, I've lived in Jersey for, 14 years now. I don't think anyone in the state knows how to go under the speed limit. So if you're telling me that the 85 percentile on that one road is 20 miles an hour lower, that's a problem. Now, on the 29, that might make sense because our aerial road is essentially a T. Even if you're going straight at the green, you've got to slow down. And if this measurement was taken while school was in session, that 29 makes perfect sense. But the reality is the speed limit is 45. And the times of those lights are not in compliance. Which again, could put our program in jeopardy. So I'm asking that whether it's Remington and Vernon or another party, we go out and check those lights, because the report will be out soon and it's not going to look good for us. Thank you.
Chief, you have
Mr. Berry, the speed, because as far as I know, and Mr. Canwell correctly, the 6 month is all we're doing is certifying that the amber light, I'm not sure the speed, the 85th percentile was done initially at the speed study that was done at the beginning of the program. I don't know what the 29 miles an hour actually has to do with the certification of the amber light.
That's the speed that they're saying traffic is moving.
But the certification is simply stating that the amber light is timed right for the 85th percentile speed. Is that correct, Mr.?
That's what it says, yeah. I'm not sure what the...
We're not, just to make it clear to council, we're not certifying the speed at every 6 months. That's already been established with the initial application, and we're not required to do another speed study unless we know a drastic change in the roadway happens, which hasn't happened. And I just want to clarify that. That's what I'm not. I don't know what the engineer, why they note the speed on there, but they are not certifying against that. They're only certifying that the amber light timing is correct.
Well then, Mr. Council President, Deputy Chief, then I'm formally asking for another speed study at these two intersections. Because clearly, what we have on record does not match reality. And I'm also asking that we use something a little bit more precise than a stopwatch. there's a lot of very expensive technology out there that will give you very exact numbers.
The 85th percentile was taken into consideration for the speed limits of those roads. I know the speed limits were taken into consideration at the time that all the studies were done initially during the speed study. So, and the speed limit hasn't changed on the road. And so I don't know that there's going to be a difference, but, and we're not, I'll consult Mr. Campbell.
Yeah, I'll check the files and see where that came from the original study. Some suggestions seem right from what you're saying here, Josh.
Right.
I need to look at it. I'll be down for what you're saying is in my report.
What's that?
What you're saying is in my report.
Yeah, I'll show it to you right now. After the meeting, I'll hang out. I mean, it's important that we get this right, because we need to be accurate in what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question, Mr. Burr, Council President will permit me. Mr. Burr, if you recall 2 meetings ago, when you were before council, you made certain allegations.
Mr. Conner,
I'm sorry, sir.
I'm going to get into this with you.
But I'm going to tell you what I told you 2 meetings ago. You stood there before this council, and you said that I had a conflict because a witness during the pay-to-play trial said that my wife, and she's here, Cindy Carlemere, approached her about signing her affidavit against your petition for clarification. And you stood before this council, and you said that that witness mentioned Cindy Carlemere. And I told you that was incorrect. You continued to embellish your misstatement before this council by saying that I got up and objected to your
I
court.
am not going to get back and forth with
let him-
you. If you
let
want
him
to speak,
finish,
run
please.
for council president. You're the solicitor, I'm not going to do this right
Let
now.
him finish.
And I told you at that meeting that I'll produce the transcript, which I'm sure you've read by now. And I told you that that transcript is not going to say what you were representing before this court, and you challenged me at that meeting. Well, I have the transcript. Mr. Burry, would you like me to read it?
No, I know what the transcript
Well, it says here, I'm not positive of the person, but that asked me if he did sign, if I did sign. Who is this? That was your attorney asking the question. It was, I want to say, either Mary Ann or, and your attorney said Mary Ann who? I'm really bad at last names. It's Mary Ann, I believe, Coyle, or Cindy Clark. Okay, who are these women? Are they people your husband? There's no objection here. And you told this council that I immediately jumped up and objected. Well, you were there as well as I was, and I told you that you have to retract that statement to this council where you said I had a conflict and that my wife, Cindy Carlemere, had a conflict. You should apologize to the council and everyone else because you knew your statement was incorrect and it was a misrepresented, embellished statement before this council. Here's the transcript. I had no control over this transcript. It's produced by the court. Clearly, her name is not mentioned, and clearly, I gave no objection.
Mr. Carlemere, I'm going to quote Councilman Mercado. I am not your punching bag. Yes, the transcript says what it says. Now it's my turn. You spoke, now it's mine.
Mr.
Listen, please.
Perry,
Okay?
calm down and just respond.
I sat here for the last 3 minutes and
Now
listened to you.
respond.
Now I'll respond. There were 5 people in that courtroom who thought they heard Carlemere. If that's not what was said, fine. I'll retract it. But here's the point that I don't think any of you are picking up on. What was the other name mentioned?
She's my secretary in the law.
She is your legal secretary.
Absolutely.
And you need to explain to the people why the legal secretary of Gloucester Township was part of a scheme to do a false
Don't use that word
affidavit.
scheme,
The
Mr.
judge
Secretary.
is himself.
Because,
Look, hey,
don't
I'm
use the
answering you.
word scheme, because the lower court was offended by that, and so was the appellate division. The appellate division said clearly, the committee of petitioners, which is you and the 4 others, have the responsibility and accountability to do it correctly. Okay? Appellate
Mr.
division,
Mancini, will you
I'm
control me,
sorry.
please?
I'm sorry.
We're going to end this. We're going to end this, all right? Because obviously it's a heated situation. I think the solicitor made his point. It's not in the transcripts, and as a result, your embellishment was wrong. I think that's the end of the
I
point.
will be the bigger man, and I will say,
And then
I was
that's the
wrong.
end of the
But what I want
conversation.
to know is, why was your clerk
It
part
has
of
no-
this?
There's no need to
effort?
continue this. That was in the court.
Hold on.
The court knows.
You just spent 5 minutes attacking me when I wasn't
Mr.
coming
Barry,
to talk about pay to
It's,
play.
Mr. Barry, it's over. Mr. Solicitor, that's enough. We're not going to reestablish what was done in the court. That is public documentation. You can go, everybody
Under the
get that.
Faulkner Act, as a citizen, I am requesting an investigation on why Mary Ann Coyle, who is a legal clerk, and Sydney Clark now, because you confirmed it's her, who is another appointee, was part of an affidavit that a judge said, if you look at it, cannot be true.
Thank you, Mr. Berry.
I am asking for an investigation on why the firm of Wade, Longwood, and Kennedy were behind these affidavits that a judge who I was told was a Pennsauken Democrat chair, so he's not friendly to us, had said are not true.
Thank you, Mr. Berry.
Thank you.
The problem, Mr. Berry, as what the appellate division said, you have the accountability to the voters that you were representing.
The appellate
And you
division
failed
has-
and breached your accountability.
Anyone else? Mr. Schmidt?
Good evening.
Good evening.
John Schmidt, Gloucester City, New Jersey. I have two issues tonight. It's been a long time since I talked over to this council, but I'm just reading the resolution. Again, this is now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council, the Township of Gloucester, that there exists a need to discuss an issue of workman's compensation in executive closed session, and the public body is hereby excluded from the discussion August 13th, 2011, 2012, 7:30 p.m. Workers' compensation. I know I've addressed this issue before regarding, workers' compensation. It's got to be litigation. But you can be a little more specific. I'm saying a workers' compensation issue related to workers' compensation within the police department. You can be a little more specific than just workers' comp.
I say that to you when we came back, when you're not stated prior.
When you go in them, you should be as specific as possible. So could you maybe try to do a little bit better job in the future? I mean, it's an improvement on what it was a year ago. So we're making progress. Can we continue to make progress?
Continue.
Next question. And I guess if I could go from left to right, or if I could ask a question, go left and right, all the elected officials here. And every time I go to, I'm asking this question. Do you support the idea of a Camden County Metro Police Department? Yes or no?
I'm sorry?
Do you support an idea of Camden County Metro Police Department, Camden County Police Department? Yes or no? It's been out there. We all know what it is. I know what you stated before. And I'm not asking for the township's overall opinion. I'm asking for your individual opinion as an elected official in the county of Camden.
May I address this real quick? John, I appreciate your efforts, but I think what you're doing right now is not good. I don't think it's a good precedent to set by somebody coming up here and beginning to question each member on things that are not before the council. We could have 100 different questions where 100 different people want to question Michelle, myself, Sam, etc. Now, you want to speak to me after this meeting? I've never turned you down. And I'll give you my opinion on it, okay? But I don't think, quite frankly, this is the right way to go about it.
I got two answers. Anybody else? The other four?
Mr. Schmidt, I stated my position before, and you've been here for that.
And again, you all know how we feel. We stated it. I restated it. Sean put it in the Gloucester Township pack. No one's changed. We believe in our police department. We're supporting our police department. There will not be anybody patrolling our streets but Gloucester Township Police Department. The mayor supported that. Council has supported that also.
As elected officials in a town against this idea, and I know elected officials in other towns who are dead set against this idea. Okay? Once it starts, it's going to be very hard to stop.
It's not going to happen here. And we're not gonna,
Once an idea starts, once it starts, you don't, where's it gonna stop?
we're not going to,
And so I'm encouraging
we're
all
not
of
going to
you,
give it to the council to vote on.
I'm not asking you to vote on it.
Well, I'm not going to ask the council for their opinions other than the ones that stated.
I'm asking all of you, as elected officials and concerned residents of this county, on Thursday night in Magnolia is the Freedom Order meeting. To go there and to join with police unions across this town, probably the state for that matter, in saying this is bad, we want none of it in our town and none of it in our county. Take a stand. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir, in the red shirt.
Hey, I'm Vince, I'm from Sigleyville, and I was...
What's your last name?
Oh, Blackberry. I was wondering about, my neighborhood did not get any of those pink lidded trash cans that every other neighborhood in Gloucester Township seemed to get. Also, the one down the street, Presidential Ave, they didn't get it either. I've been told that by some people, murmurs about how our curbs are, our driveways are too close to the street or something, or there are too many cars on the street to have them. I was just wondering why everyone else who pays property taxes got them, but we didn't.
There's some issues with some of the neighborhoods where the big trash can or the big what do you call them, containers were causing problems or could cause problems. The folks that have worked on that with the mayor is continuing to work on that to come up with alternatives, whether it's a little smaller of a can to provide for those residents. Up until now, they'll continue to have recycling in the yellow bins, but hopefully in the very near future, something will come out on that.
Yeah, to do with the armament trucks.
Also, I believe there's an ordinance against salvaging the metal from trash on the curb. I was wondering if there's an ordinance, it's a ticketable offense to pick trash for the purposes of scrapping. And I was wondering how at all that is fair to the people who have been doing it for years to make a living. The amount of money you get for the process of scrapping metal is not very much. So these people who are doing it aren't doing it to buy luxury items, to buy new cars, they're doing it to pay their rents. No one wants to go around and pick trash. And it's because of the whole someone breaking into the trash at Highland High School, or there's already laws against trespassing and theft. This is someone going up to trash on the curb that police can go in and search for evidence to convict people. The Supreme Court ruled it in California or Supreme Court.
Not in New Jersey, sir.
In New Jersey again?
New Jersey case law, we cannot search trash without a search warrant. Federal authorities can.
All right.
Jersey law enforcement officers can.
I was not aware of that. Thank you. Why can't people take something out of the trash and turn it into treasure? It's environmentally friendly. It's recycling things more directly and helps people put food on the table. So, what's up with that?
Well, it's a part of the ordinance where I guess the residents or anybody can't come into the township and scavenge metal out of our recyclables.
Recyclables, so if there is a broken air conditioning unit on trash day on the curb, and I took that.
I think it applies. I think the way in fact, we're doing some revisions through the recycling coordinator and taking a look at that, but that's how it reads. That scavenging, if it's put out on recycle day, they cannot take it.
Well, that makes perfectly good sense. I mean,
Yeah, it's put out on recycling day, that's completely fine, but I know multiple people who have been pulled over and ticketed when there's really no proof that these people took it from the trash on a recyclable day. And that's an issue.
I'm going to ask the deputy chief to comment on that.
So in recent times, scrapping has become an issue with turning into theft. And quite frankly, it just happened here at a business right along here where scrappers who were doing legitimate scrapping also were committing thefts of brand new air conditioning units. It happened to Kinder Care, happened to numerous areas. And I'm not saying everyone that does scrapping is doing it, is stealing things from people's houses. I'm not saying that. However, with the surge in the amount of crime that we've seen regionally, not just in Gloucester Township, throughout the area, we looked at that and we found many times that there was unaccountable things that people had that were scrapping, and our officers use it as an enforcement tool. And they make a determination. Quite a few people have been stopped and just told, hey, are you aware of the ordinance here? And use that to, to let them know, because a lot of them legitimately did not know. So we are dealing with county. We're looking at revising it. We're even looking to assembly to come further to make it make laws that are stronger for stolen stuff that's cut. And, in a neighborhood, Timber Birch neighborhood, we stopped a legitimate scrapper who was going around the trash, but they also took a hacksaw to someone's steel decorative mailbox and took that. Just took it. People came out and their mailbox was cut and gone. And that's just not tolerated.
I do disagree with people doing.
I understand that. I'm not saying, but from our standpoint, our enforcement options, we're not going to tolerate that. And that is, we're using the laws that are there to enable us to stop and at least check. And I think I would even say many of the people that have actually gotten ticketed have been warned in most cases. I don't know that for anyone that you, and I can't say that 100% of the time. But I can tell from directing the operations out there, that was the way to go.
It does seem somewhat unfair to those who are not stealing things. It's almost as if selling guns illegal because people shoot other people. Like, not everyone who picks trash is a thief.
And I agree with you 100%. And
so why is there an ordinance against it?
It's something that. We're working on to try and make it.
They're currently working on it. The solicitor is stating that they're working on it. The deputy chief is stating it. So I'm sure in the very near future we'll come back in front of council with recommendations on how we could tighten it up a little bit so the average person who's doing nothing wrong won't be
harassed or prosecuted.
Bothered by the police.
Is there a possibility of maybe having a licensing thing where legitimate scrappers are permitted to do it, and the officers, it might be better for everybody.
Not a bad idea, and I'm sure the police department as well as the solicitor will take all those recommendations.
And if somebody was caught to have contraband, you could revoke the licensing certificate, and then they can't scrap in this town anymore.
Knowledge is power. They tag it out.
I mean, Tom can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's also a weight issue when they weigh the recyclables that are collected, and that's an offset of grants, funds, and what have you. Am I correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why that ordinance has in there prohibition on scavenging.
All right, just make it more friendly to the people who are legitimate.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Oh, there's a couple of different things I can talk about, but I'm Ferdinand Powers from Blackwood. First of all, I'll touch on the red lights, and then I'll come back to the scrapping. The red lights, I was just curious, what provision of the Constitution authorized you to pass that law?
It was passed by the state legislators.
Okay, well, what provision of the Constitution authorized it?
I think you'd have to talk to the state legislators and ask them. They're the ones that passed the law, am I correct, Dave? And they're the ones that allow municipalities to move forward with it. So I would recommend you go to the state legislators.
I might understand that they went ahead and said, okay, municipalities, it's okay for you to pass a law, or it's okay for you not to have the law.
They said that at the beginning, and correct me, Dave, if I'm wrong, that they were piloting this program and any township or any town can go in, apply. We did our homework, we applied for it, we utilized whatever the application was, and we were allowed to do it. And so the state approved, I guess it was Department of Transportation, approved us for having the red light cameras.
Has it slowed down any accidents?
Deputy Chief?
Preliminarily, we're still conducting, but preliminarily, we're looking at a reduction in crashes along the Blackwood-Clinton Road corridor. Again, this is preliminary, I don't have hard numbers, we're not ready to produce a report, but we're just getting to the phase of time where it's been in practice long enough. The number of tickets is actually reduced quite a bit, and the number of crashes we're seeing a reduction in crashes. And that's what the program is about. It's about safety. And I can sit here after reviewing the program when it gets a lot of scrutiny by our officers, by the traffic unit supervisor. If people stop the red light, they don't get a ticket. I can assure you that. So.
Well, just so you know, I support the officers and keeping them local and all. I'm a big supporter. Matter of fact, I was laughed at when I was fighting for you guys even before it came up. However, I just want to, and I think it's only fair that we continue to use the officers for these situations and not the cameras, and I'll tell you why. Maybe you can correct me. We have some attorneys, right? So, if you get a photograph of a vehicle allegedly going through the light, first of all, you don't know if that's the driver is actually the owner of the vehicle, but isn't it true that it's considered hearsay?
It's a video, it's not a photograph.
It doesn't matter. Are you the person with the first-hand knowledge there?
I would say, Mr. Power, I'm not a lawyer. I would ask the solicitor to address that.
The standards are all set forth through the legislation. So if somebody wants to challenge that, let them challenge it.
Okay, because my concern is it's hearsay and it's not a person with the first-hand knowledge. And I would rather have an officer there that actually sees it to write a report, because this way you can swear to the testimony. A video can be altered. Photographs can be altered. And that's just a matter of fact.
Mr. Powers, there are exceptions to the hearsay rule.
And
You're aware of that, right?
Though.
You're aware of that, right? Exceptions to the hearsay rule? I mean, everybody here is an attorney, right? We're all constitutional scholars, correct? I mean, I think it's kind of...
Well, since you are, let me ask you this.
No, I didn't say I was.
Well, you said we, so it implies you were.
But, you're saying it's hearsay, and you want us all to go in and buy into this. But are you aware of what exceptions to the hearsay rule are?
Crawford v. Washington says I have a right to examine all my accusers, and that was 9-0, United States Supreme Court case,
and that's
2004, and it applies to every incident, even up to a person that's accused of being raped as a child. I'm not making this up. This is what they said.
Mr. Powers, I got news for you. There are people here that stand up to that microphone and express legitimate concerns. But when you start talking about the hearsay rule and the Constitution, asking us what provision of the Constitution, how are we supposed to respond to that? How can anybody on this council respond to you? Or are you just spouting off Crawford v. Washington because it makes you feel good?
No, but how about this? Were you the one that said a while ago, and you did say this, it's on record, that you spoke with the other department because they were lacking funds, okay? So you spoke with the prosecutor and the judge to start charging more on DWIs.
Oh my goodness, Mr. Powers, I had no idea what you're talking about.
I remember it clear.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure
here to say
you remember exact word for word Crawford v. Washington, but you can't tell me that you're not aware of any exceptions to the hearsay rule, are you? But you remember exactly
what rules of
I
evidence
said.
are you talking about?
The federal rules of evidence.
Okay, what part of the federal rules of evidence?
I just told you. Rule 80, what is it, David?
6.
There are exceptions to the hearsay rule.
806? I'm not even
Mr. Power, can you just
finish
up on your point, please?
My point is, and unless you had a legitimate answer, you shouldn't try to
Mr.
The
Howard,
point is, you're standing
please
here
finish
professing
your statement.
constitutional
Okay, so
law.
my thing is, the red light cameras, I don't think is doing anything better for the community. Actually, it's doing just the contrary. It's creating a static, and it's taking work from, I believe, the police department and their credibility, because it's being looked on like they aren't trusted. So now we got to use cameras.
Mr. Power, all I know is everybody who gets a ticket, correct me if I'm wrong, has the right to a trial in front of the municipal judge. They come in, they set their case, the judge makes a decision, and they have their say in the court. Am I correct?
That is correct. And so I'm clear, every summons is reviewed by an officer for evidentiary value. It is not some secretary, it's not someone sitting in another room. It is a Gloucester Township officer that reviews every violation and determines whether they have probable cause or not to issue that ticket based on the camera evidence that's presented to them.
Okay. Now, we're going to move on to another issue, and it's the trash, the trash. And you weren't here, but I did mention a Supreme Court case, Yippo versus Hopkins, U.S. Supreme Court.
Yeah, can you at least provide us with these Supreme Court
I did.
cases?
You weren't here. I did.
Did he give us did he give us a copy of the case? Can we let him continue?
Go ahead,
It's
finish, Mr.
frustrating
Howard.
to hear somebody stand up at the
Okay,
podium
my point
making
is-
constitutional law.
You just
Mr.
do
Howard,
this way because
address me, please.
my point is, and I addressed it last time, is it not true it's unequal treatment under the law that the government has the right to pick trash? Yeah,
The government, I'm sorry.
Yeah, government has a right to pick trash, and the people do not have a right to pick trash. In the United States Supreme Court, it said once it's in the street, it's abandoned. And once it's abandoned, anyone has access to it. And the other Supreme Court case states that government cannot pass ordinances that restricts a person's right and then turn it into a privilege. And then to say you need a license, that now we're moving into a communist form of government. I would say maybe if somebody picks trash from someone's home, if they have between them a contract or a receipt saying they had a permission to get that trash, Supreme Court of the United States said that you have no business as government interfering with someone's private individuals. So now we have 3 Supreme Court cases that protects a person from getting charged wrongfully with the trash. Not only that, but it also takes our officers away from real crimes and actually having them to confront people that it's trash. I can see if they start littering, ripping it apart or something. I don't agree with that. But if I drive down the road and I see a set of golf clubs, just because someone's getting divorced and they don't, hey, they don't want to be spiteful and throw their spouse's stuff out because I've seen that before, why not pick it up? And why not take it to the, make a few bucks at the flea market or at the auction?
Thank you, I appreciate your opinion on that. Thank you.
What law school you go to?
Thank you. Linda?
Linda Muster, 50 Cameron Circle. I would just like to, again, talk about the pay plan a little bit. I think that looking at it from my perspective, from a taxpayer's point of view, I feel that if you could take the time to come up with a proposal, a resolution for the pay-to-play that addresses the super PACs, I think that this governing body owes it to the taxpayers to take that same due diligence and look at the petition and look at all of the information that was provided by South Jersey citizens and come up with a resolution. I don't understand why there is such resistance from the governing body. What are you afraid of? Come up, they brought up some very good ideas. They brought very good ideas to the table. With all the time that has gone on from the time that they started their petition drive to now, that has been more than sufficient time to be able to look at this. And I think it's embarrassing that you can actually sit there and say, no, we haven't looked at it. No, we're not going to do anything about it. It's arrogant. It's really arrogant. We are taxpayers, and we have a right to know. We have a right to transparency. And I think that if somebody could take this whole thing and water it down and just say, oh, well, we're going to do it for the super PACs because it makes it look good. It makes it look like you're doing something. But you know what? You're not fooling us. I just think that it's really a disgrace that you're not taking the time to look at this and look into this matter. You've had a lot of time to be able to do something with it. That's my first point. Second, I would also have a question regarding the county police. I read the article in Patch, and I'm very happy that Gloucester Township is not going to be involved, hopefully, in the county police. I hope it's not just talk. I think that Mr. Schmidt's recommendation about the freeholders meeting that's going to be held in Magnolia, I think the Gloucester Township should go there. And I think that this governing body should make their point across, that we do not want to lose the resources of our fine men and women of the Gloucester Township Police Force to have to go and put themselves in harm's way in Camden. And maybe it sounds elitist, but you know what? These are our tax dollars, and we're already paying a lot in property taxes here. We're paying a lot in property taxes there. And, you know, maybe you for a newspaper article, you're saying, well, we're against it. But I don't understand why, again, there's a resistance to say how you feel as individuals. I think that, one, you know, with Mrs. Gentak running for freeholder, are you opposed to the county police force? And how is your viewpoint going to change when you
Mrs. Musser, her running for freeholder has nothing to do with this council.
It has to do with
Mrs.
the
Musser,
council.
you know
What
our
opinion
position.
is of
That position has been sent to the
That is
freeholders
your
and they know it.
position. Excuse me, Mr.
But they
Bianchi,
know
that is your position. What is Mrs. Gentak's position? She's running for
That
freeholder.
question is
Does
not
she have
gonna
a different position as a freeholder
When
candidate?
she's
as she would
campaigning as a
councilwoman?
freeholder, she could talk about it. But now, our position is just what was stated.
As a taxpayer, I have a right to know what someone's position is.
And she can tell you on her
My
time if she would like to.
tax dollars. No, and again, the other thing that I really resent, Mr. Hutchinson, when you made the statement about, you know, coming up here and asking questions that don't have anything to do, this is a public portion. The second public portion is for any item. If I feel like getting up here and asking you what you thought about today's weather, I can do that.
I agree. But that doesn't mean, Ms. Musser, that you have the right to solicit a response for every single council member, because I disagree with that.
Well, you may disagree, but we can respectfully disagree that you disagree. I think that you have a responsibility as a taxpaying citizen. You have a responsibility. If I ask you a question, what your position is on something, you should be able to give me an answer as a councilman.
And I've told you that, I told Mr. Schmidt, I said, if you want to know, I've never deprived him of an opportunity to ask a
Put
question.
it on the record.
Well, see, that's where we differ. Because I think that you can have anybody come up here and solicit any question and just go right down the road. We could be here 2, 3, 4, 5 hours answering those questions.
You know, with this back and forth like this, you could be, but if you would just answer the question and just be forthright with it, it wouldn't be
We
that
can
way.
agree to disagree, okay? That's what I have to say.
Well, I'm sorry, Dick, but I disagree. Thank you.
Mr. Musser. Anyone else? Yes, sir?
Joe Pauly, 10 Bainbridge Court. I just have a quick question regarding the county police. Could we have a resolution for the town on this?
Not at this time. Thank you, Joe.
When can we have this, or is there?
Not at this time, we're not going to have a resolution on it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Schmidt?
John Schmidt, Close City, New Jersey.
Thank you.
You know, if we want to go down, throw punches. We should respectfully do that. There's no action, so you know what, I'm going to go support my town, my police officers, okay, on Thursday night, and say no. There's no action on behalf of, well, one of you actually said no, Mr. Sally did. To actually say, as a council person, this is what I think. I mean, heck, you have a council person running for freeholder who won't even say their opinion on this issue. No action. No action. And when somebody asks your opinion on an issue of this magnitude, that will have detrimental effects on every resident of this county, this Camden Metro Police Department, Camden County Police Department, ain't going to be as good as each individual police department. We have some great police departments in this county.
No doubt about it. I agree with you. And Gloucester Township Police Department will continue to...
You say that.
And
But
I'll
where
say
did the action back that up?
It's the chief, the deputy chief, the mayor, we all made our statements. The freeholders know how we feel. Gloucester Township Police Department will be our police department. I don't know how else to do it. You think a resolution can be changed also, John. I'm telling you, as long as I'm sitting up here, we will have Gloucester Township Police Department running our town. Period. Amen.
Hope so. Thank you.
Seeing no other hands, we close the second public portion. Polling of directors in police. In council. Sorry, Chief.
Mr. Moffa. Mr. Lechner. Deputy Chief Harkins.
I just want to thank the community, the mayor, council for our National Night Out. Last week it was phenomenal turnout, phenomenal night. We had a great turnout. Specifically thank Lieutenant Barton, who's in the room, Corporal Brannon of our community relations unit that put it all together for us. It was a tremendous success as we've had in the past. So I just want to thank you for your support on behalf of Chief Earl and thank everyone for participating in it.
Thank you, Deputy Chief.
Mr. Carlemere?
Nothing further.
Mr. Cardis?
Nothing.
Mr. Hutchison?
Briefly, now is my time to express an opinion. I'm not being questioned by Mr. Schmidt, but I do support our local police department. I've gone on the record in the past and said that. I believe personally that a local police department who has knowledge of the streets of the town, the people in the town, is the best way to police this town. So I support my police department. I just procedurally did not agree with how this was requested, my response. I think that we as council people can express our position on something, but it shouldn't be in the format as it was initially requested. With regard to some of the people who come up in front of this council, I don't think it's appropriate to expect constitutional scholars up here and to quote cases and to that's not very helpful. If you have that type of question and you want to speak to a council person ahead of time, give them the ability to have a conversation about a particular case, a particular issue, I'll do that. But I don't think it's, 10 minutes at the microphone spouting off constitutional cases when nobody in the room understands any of the issues in those cases. I don't think that's appropriate. With regard to the comment regarding Mrs. Carlemere, that shouldn't happen. I wasn't here. That shouldn't be brought into this council room. And that's probably the first time and last time that thing will take place. Mr. Berry is not that type of person. I don't believe that he would have done that knowing. So I accept your apology to Mrs. Carlemere and Mr. Carlemere. Thank you.
Mr. Schmidt?
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out this evening and staying. I thank you for each and every one of your comments. And congratulations on National Night Out. Our police, our community, and this administration did a fine job. Thank you and have a good evening.
Mr. Sadler?
Yes, I would like to thank Gloucester Township, Belmar, and Runnymede for recognizing the individuals that put the parade together for Welcome Home Parade for the veterans. They did a great job in a short period of time, and I'm sure the veterans really appreciated that. Thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Genta?
I'm sorry, I had to take that. That was my child calling. I would like to congratulate everyone who worked so hard on the Veterans Parade. I'd also, sorry, I just sidetracked me when you called. I just want to say that we have a fantastic police force, and we appreciate all that you do in Gloucester Township. We are one of the luckiest of towns to have a police force like we have. And I'd like to thank everyone for coming out.
Mrs. Strada?
I'd like to thank Kevin and Marianne and Suzanne for bringing us the Veterans Parade. I think you guys did a great job, and your committee everybody did a phenomenal job. Thank you. And thank you, Deputy Chief, for allowing us to be a part of National Night Out. It was great to be able to get around to the community and meet a lot of different people that otherwise we don't always get to see.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mercado?
Many thanks to Chief Earl and the men and women of our Gloucester Township Police Department for coordinating the National Night Out. It's an outstanding event. Also, I'd like to congratulate those who had helped coordinate the first annual Welcome Home Veterans Parade. I look forward to participating in that in the upcoming years. Thank you for coming out this evening.
Mr. Bianchini?
I'd like to thank all the residents for coming out tonight. I too want to thank the committee and the Gloucester Township, Belmar, and Runnymede for the first Welcome Home Veterans Parade. Thank you, Sam, for always having your input with the veterans and keeping their fight for us, for our freedom, to be able to have conversations like that. Very, very in the forefront, so thank you. Chief, Deputy Chief, Lieutenant Barton, thank you for the National Night Out. As always, Gloucester Township does it #1. And it was great to go to different spots in town to see the people who enjoy interacting with not only the police but the firemen. Target was there with us as well, handing out a lot of different items, and it was just a great night overall. So thank you. Please send that to your police department. I too, again, I think we made it pretty clear about how we feel about our Gloucester Township Police Department. Again, I know it just people want to come up and make a statement on it and are concerned about it, and I appreciate that very, very much. But I think it's pretty clear where we stand with our police department. In my mind, there's no one better in Gloucester, in Camden County, and I'd put them up against anybody in our state. I think they do a great job, and again, as long as I'm up here, I'll never vote for anything other than that. With that, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Good night.